Hello everyone, welcome back. This is part 3 of the series. Hopefully the last. We'll try to complete everything today. So this is the application that we have been building over the past couple of streams. I'll just let you run through this. So basically it's a simple Xamarin Forms application which shows you the total number of cases worldwide for COVID-19. It shows you the latest news on the top. What we are going to add today is when you click on any particular news item, it is going to open the actual news using the web view or the built-in browser. And we also need to implement the view all countries. So once you click on it, it is going to show you all the countries around the world. You click on any particular country, a pop-up is going to come up from the bottom showing you a little bit more details, such as the number of tests conducted, how many deaths today, how many cases per million population cases, and so on. You can also search and so on. So this is what we are going to do. So now let's get back to this and let us see where we were at as of the last stream. One thing you might have noticed, I have decided to do this on my Windows machine today. Unfortunately, my Mac started misbehaving. Because of the latest Catalina update, my dual screen monitors are not working anymore. So I'm forced to be back to Windows 10. So let us have a look at the application. I'm deploying it to the emulator. Alright, starting to debug. The splash screen comes up. So this is what we have been doing. So it fetches the latest world news, total number of cases globally, and then the top 5 countries. Once the information is available, we can see the list of countries, the news over here, the global number of cases. So you can see just as of today, 12th of July, we have around 63,000 cases reported already in its half day. And we have the top 5 countries reported over here. And today, right now, if we click on any of this link in the news items, nothing happens. Even if we click on the view all countries, it does not go anywhere. This is what we are going to implement. So let us start by opening up the news pages. Let me stop this. So the easiest way to do this is if we go to our dashboard page where we had our news items data template. Let me minimize this a bit and make this a bit bigger so it's easier to read. So we go to our news items. This is the data template that we have, and this is the image that we are showing. So the easiest way that we can do is we can add a tab gesture recognizer over here. So ff image loading dot gesture recognizers. And we can add a tab gesture recognizer. So once we do this, the easiest way that I work with, rather than doing a code behind button click handler or image handler, I would rather do it in my view model. So I can simply say command equals to bind it to some command, and for the command parameter I want to pass in the actual image or the news item where I am clicking on. So that I can simply pass in by saying binding dot. So this is what we can do. Now let's go ahead and define a command for this in our view model. So I can define a command, and this is going to be of type news. It's going to accept a news item, and we are going to call it navigate to news details command, and we can provide public getter setter. Once I have this, I can simply instantiate it saying it is equal to new command of news type, and it will go to the news page. So we can call it navigate to news page. It's a function that we will call. So we just need to define this function. Let me copy this. So I can define it as a private async void, and it will take news item. This is what will happen. Now, simple thing for me to open the browser is using the Xamarin Essentials browser.openasync. So I can just bring in the namespace Xamarin Essentials, and I'll say open browser.openasync. I'm passing in this news item .url, and I'm providing some browser launch options, which is the use the system preferred browser and show the title as well. Now once I have this command, I can simply go back to my dashboard page, and I will say my bind it to this particular command. But unfortunately what will happen is it is not going to work, because when we are inside this, so this whole page has the binding context, which is our view model, and for this particular cover flow view that we used, so we are binding it to the COVID news item, which is over here, COVID news. But once we are inside, for each of the objects in the data template, it is each of the row in this list or the enumerable list. So the easiest way I would do is, for me, the easiest way to solve this, I can just go ahead and give this page a name and call it root page. Once I have this, I can come back over here and I will say bind it to my source is equal to x reference root page, and my path is equal to binding context dot navigate to news details command. Now if I run this, it should be able to work. Okay, it is not able to find command news. Oops, I made a mistake. This was a void. So let this build. By the way, at the end of the completion of this video, I'll be uploading all the source code to my GitHub repository. You can see at the bottom the link to the repository. You can download it and play with it. And my Windows machine seems to be very slow compared to my Mac. I need to upgrade this. So here it is finally. Now if we click on any of the news item, it should take us to this news details page. Okay, this is the first time I'm doing this. Yes, fine. So it navigates to this particular news item. This I can go to another news item and click on it, say this one, and here you go. So this part is done. This is complete. So next part, what we have to do is on this view all countries, we need to be able to navigate to the another page which will show us list of all the countries. So let us add a new page. Let's add a content page and we will call it all countries page. So we have added a all countries page. Right now it is empty, we are not putting anything for the time being. Let's minimize this part. Left it on a total cases. Okay, so this is the countries header. This is where we have the top countries header and the view all. This is where we need to navigate to all the countries page. So again, the best way is to use the tab gesture recognizer. I'm just going to copy paste something over here. So this is the tab gesture recognizer. It is just taking us to the all countries page command, and this time you will notice I am not providing it reference to the root page because it is already on the root page and it has access to the binding context of the main page. So once this is done, I can go back to my view model and I can do something similar. This time I will define another command, but I do not need to pass in any parameter because unlike the news item where we need to provide which particular news item we want to navigate to, this is just going to a news page command. And I can do something very simple. I can just go and say this all countries page command is equal to new command navigate to all countries page function, and I can define this function over here as well. Now to navigate, one of the things you will notice in our view model, we do not have access to our navigation object, because if I could simply go here to my view, here anywhere I could have simply said navigation dot push async and I can move to all countries page. But here I do not have this option. So to solve this, what I would do rather is I would, in my view model, I will define I'll make it a constructor. I'll pass in the navigation object from my page when I'm instantiating it. So let's call it iNavigation navigation, and to hold this I can create maybe a private variable. Let's call it underscore navigation, and I will just store this over here for me. Once I have this, then I can simply say await navigation dot push async, and I can pass it the new all countries page to this. Let's try and see how this works. So yes, we have created this, but we also need to pass this from our page. So when we are creating this new view model, we have to pass in the navigation object. Now if we click on the view all, it takes us to this new page that we have just created. Of course, we'll work on this. So let us start with creating a view model for this first. We can actually go ahead and close all of them. We do not need them. Let's create a new view model for this. We'll call it all countries page view model. And for simplicity's sake, I'm just going to bring in the whole view model class, and then I'll explain to you what this is. So we have got our country stats. Again, the same thing, we are declaring a variable. This is country stats, if I'm not mistaken. Yes. This is country stats. Okay. So we have a variable, our main variable, which is holding list of all the countries that we are going to display on the screen. Now, one other thing I have done is, I will explain to you why I have done. So I have created another variable where I'm holding all of these countries in a private variable. This one we will use when we make use of the search functionality. So we want to utilize the view model search functionality. If you start typing any particular country name, it will show you names of all the countries which are matching your search criteria. And when you cancel, you again want to go back to the full country list. So that is why we are storing it over here. And then once you click on a particular country, you saw from the bottom of the screen there was a bottom sheet that popped up, and it showed some further details about the country. So we are creating an object to hold the selected country. And additionally, we have couple of commands. One is the go back command. So if you want to go back to the previous page from this countries page, we will use this command. If you want to search for a country, we will invoke this particular command, and it will search. So for this particular case, we do not need to navigate to any further page over here. So we can skip this. Let's remove this. So we are setting the title to countries report, creating our commands, instantiating them. So go back, sorry, actually we do need that, my mistake. Yeah. So to go back, we simply say navigation.pop-async, and when we are searching, all we are simply doing is we are searching, or our total countries list, we are searching where the country name contains our search criteria. If we have not provided anything, if it is empty, we are setting it to the full list. And something very similar to what we did in the previous one, for the dashboards page, we have the load countries. So we are setting load countries data as our loading text. The is busy indicator is true, and then we are just calling the same API that we were calling from our previous screen. So if you go back to the dashboard view model, this is the same API we were calling when we were getting the countries list. The only thing that we did over there was we just took top 5 countries. Here we are getting all the countries, and we are storing it in our private variable, and then we are setting the public property country stats to this whole list. So this is pretty much it. Once we have this ready, now we can go back to our all countries page, and there is our all countries page. We can go back to this one, and we can define our view model as a variable, and set the binding context to this. And then once the page is loading, we will load our countries which we have defined over here. Load countries, this method. It will go and initialize all the countries for us. So that is pretty much it. Now if we go back to our all countries page, one of the thing, in fact couple of things that we'll be doing over there is the search functionality and the pop-up. So let me go back to let me just copy paste so that it is easier. So I will do something very simple, similar. I'll define my root page because again from within the country I may want to refer this. Let's replace this whole bad boy with a lot of code and I will explain to you what this is. So again we are defining a grid. We are taking up all the space. We are defining 3 rows. First row is going to contain the header, the second row is going to contain the search box, and the third row is going to contain our actual collection view. So for the page header, exactly similar concept, with one addition that this time around we are showing the image, the back arrow image. So if we click on that, it will take us back to the previous page. And then we have our title, which is the all countries report, and we have the today's date. So let us remove this part for now. Let us remove this part and run and see how it looks like. This is our busy indicator, and then we have a part over here for the pop-up, which I will also bring in. Something is wrong with my Visual Studio as well. It is not behaving. I hope I'm copying the correct one. So if we now run this one, there is still this one I need to get rid of. Pop-up control. Let's try to run this and hope that nothing is broken while I was copy pasting. So it is loading. So if we click on the view all, it should take us to the all countries page, and if we click on the back arrow, it will take us back. So let us put in our collection view to see how it looks like. So we are going to bring in our collection view. So we have our collection view which is binding to the country stats, and I'm using a vertical list. Some similar concept. I will explain what this is in a moment. Let's add the namespace. So I have a pancake view. Basically this is a ordered frame which is going to show inside the flag of the country, the name of the country, and the total number of cases, which includes the total number of cases and today only cases. So this is a simple collection view. If I just save this and go back, here we go. So we have list of all the countries. In United States, there are a total of 3.35 million cases, and today 2,500 cases almost have been reported. In Brazil, 1.8 million with 1.3k cases reported today, and so on. So this is a simple thing that we have done. Now one thing that we have added additionally, I have added a visual state manager, and on the selection of the item I'm setting the background to white, because what will happen once we click on this, when we implement on Android, is it draws a black border around the item, which is not very visually appealing. So that is what we want to remove. Okay, sorry, I have, yeah. This is our cases. One of the things that we wanted to, or you will notice if I just show you, if we click back on this, you notice on the previous page it again starts to reload all the information. This is not the desired behavior. So to this extent, what I will do, I will solve it in a very simple fashion. I can declare a simple variable over here saying if it is already loaded or not, and then what I can do, I can say if not is already loaded, then you go ahead and load the actual data and set the already loaded to false, so that it is not used next time. It does not reload the data next time. So with this one, now if we run, it should fix that particular problem. Build failed. Interesting. Oh, I think we got rid of our, when I did the undo, perhaps I got rid of the namespaces. So it is fetching the data first time and the page is loading. Once the page has loaded, if I go to all countries page, it fetches the data for all the countries, and now if I navigate back, it did not refetch the data. It just showed the page as is, which is what we wanted to do. So with this one, let us try to implement the search functionality. So this was our collection view, and to implement a search functionality, we are going to implement a simple search bar. We are going to put this in our row number 1, which is the second row on the page, with a placeholder search for a country, and when the text changes, we are going to call a method search bar text changed. So let me bring in this method very quickly. So all it is doing is it is calling the search country command. It is executing the search country command on our view model, passing in the value of the text box which is typed in, and on the spot it is going to filter and show us the results, as we will see now. So we have our search bar over here. If I want to type or search for a country, let's type United. There is no country called United. Let's try Spain, SPA. There's only one country called Spain. I don't know, let's try CHI. So it gives us Chile and China and Czechia. If I clear this, it will show me all the countries again. So here is how it works. So this is the search functionality that we have implemented. Now let us do a pop-up that shows up when we click on a particular country item in this list. So for that to happen, what I am going to do, in my collection view, I am going to add selection change event, and on this selection change event I am going to show a pop-up with some animation, a nice bottom sheet which pops up or basically slides up. There is a small cross icon which again shows up with some nice animation, from left to right rotating, and it will show details of the country. When you click on that cross icon, it will close the pop-up sheet again with the animation. Basically it will slide down and so on. So for this one I am going to bring in a couple of objects. One is, let me go to the very bottom. So after my indicator, so one is a fader control. What is this? This is nothing but a simple grid which is covering the whole space, and it is using a light black color or grayish color. By default the opacity is set to 0 and it is not visible at all. Inside there is a button which is just a round cross button, and on click of this button we are going to close the animation, and on opening of the event, opening or clicking of the particular item in the collection view. So this is what we will do. We are going to get our collection view. We are going to set the selected country of the view model. Let's add the namespace. We are going to set the selected country of our view model to this selected item, and then I'm going to call my open pop-up pane, providing it the country detail grid. And did I not give this oh, I have still not added this. So this is a new grid that we need to add. We will add this over here. Let me bring it in and then I will explain. So this is the country details grid. This is again spanning the whole page. By default, I am translating it off the page. That is where we, if you recall, we defined our root page name to our main page. So I can use to bind to its height property, and it goes all the way down. And I'm giving it a margin of 16 pixels on the left and 16 pixels on the right. It has two rows. First row is auto height, the second row takes up all the space, and then in the whole grid I'm defining a box view which is going to show us a light grayish color pop-up with rounded corners on the left and the right. And then I have the country name. So we have the country name, which is the selected country dot country name. Then I have the details. So for this I'm using a simple grid, and I have 1 2 3 4 5 10 rows defined. In each of the row I am defining some metrics such as tests conducted so far and what is the value, the number of tests, formatting it to 1000 separator format. Then in the second row I'm showing the total number of cases and displaying the total number of cases reported today, total recovered, currently active, and so on. So let's go back to this. Now if I just rebuild this error should go away. Without this open pop-up pane, we need to define this as well. So the open pop-up pane function is very simple. It just takes a view, in this case this particular grid that we have defined, this country detail grid, and it sets the page fader control, the one that we wanted to show behind this with our close button. It sets it to visibility to true. It fades it because earlier the opacity was 0. It was purely transparent. We make it fully opaque and we give it a speed of 300 milliseconds for this animation, and using the sign in out animation. And then the view, we bring it back, we translate it back to the screen. Earlier it was totally off the page, now we are bringing it a little bit up. So from the top, x is 0 and y is 200 pixels from or points from the top. And then we are animating in the close button. So we have defined another function for this one. Let me bring in this function. So what this function is doing, it is saying what is the button or control that we want to animate and whether it is entering or leaving animation. So if it is if I'm starting this animation, I'll do something different. If I'm leaving this animation, I'll do something different. So I'm just setting some translations, some opacities, starting opacity, ending opacity, rotations, and then I am just bringing it, I'm just fading it in and rotating it and moving it to the center. So let us see this in action for now, how this looks like. We still have, yes, there are a couple of functions that we need to do. So on click of this close button, we also wanted to close our pop-up. Sorry, it should be inside, and we need to define our close pop-up pane. This close pop-up pane is nothing but the exact opposite of the open pop-up pane. It is the exact opposite of this one. So whatever we were doing over here, we are doing exactly the same thing in the opposite order. So let us run this and see it in action. So if we go to all countries page, now if I click on any particular country, let's take US, you will notice that a pop-up came in from the bottom, but the close button did not. We need to fix this. I'm not sure if I've added the close button or not. So here you go. So it shows us the name of the country and different metrics for this country. If I click on say Russia, it shows me the information for Russia. So let us check if we have brought in this image or not. We do not have the close button, so let me bring it in. Just bear with me. Going to bring in this close button, paste it here. Here we go, we have the close button, and I'm going to do the same thing in the iOS project. So this time around, if we run this, we should be able to see the close button. So this time let's click on US. So you can see there was some animation that happens. Now this is all happening very fast. Let me try to slow it down and let me make it 1000 everywhere. Instead of 300 millisecond, let me make it 1 second. So let's try to make it very slow. So you can see the animation in action. So just notice when I click on this, you will be able to see all these animations in very slow motion. So you can see it slides up very slowly, and unfortunately for this one, you see it just moved away. You can even notice the close icon animation also coming in slowly on the page. So this is what we have built. I think that completes the application. What we have over here, we have a nice carousel view, a card view with some layering. So the main image or the main item is bigger than the items on the left and right. If we click on any of the news item, it takes us to the news details page. It opens up the details of your mobile device. We have the total number of cases worldwide. We used a nice control over here to display a donut chart, and we have, again, we customize the legend. So in this micro charts, instead of using the built-in ledger, we wanted to use specific colors and specific positioning. So we are showing how much active cases in terms of percentages, how much recovered, how many deaths, which totals to 100%, and some details of the same thing over here. The total cases 12.99 million so far, with 81,755 cases reported today. 4.8 million cases are active, out of which around 59,000 are very critical. 7.5 million have recovered. 568,000 deaths, with 1,800 plus deaths reported today. These are the top 5 countries: US, Brazil, India, Russia, Peru, and for each of the countries it tells you how much number of cases are there in total and what percentage is constitutes of the global. If we click on the view all, it takes us to a page which shows us all the countries sorted by the number of cases. If I keep on scrolling down, it will go to, we keep on reducing. So let's look at Kenya. If I look at Kenya, tests conducted so far is 208,000 almost, with 9,700 cases reported, and so on. I can search for a specific country such as say China. I click on China, it will show me details of this country. I can clear my search. So this is what we have built. Let me undo all of this so that we go back to the standard animations. Here you go. So thank you very much for watching. You can see at the bottom of the screen you have the link to the GitHub repository where I will be uploading all this code today very soon. By the time you start seeing this video, the code will already be there. So thank you very much. If you like this video and you want to see more in future, please subscribe to this channel. I am planning to build a BMI application which tracks your body mass index. I will be using some nice animations, nice visualizations, and we will play around with that in the coming streams. So please do subscribe to the channel, and if you have any comments, you can reach out to me on Twitter. You can send me an email. You can drop a note on my YouTube channel. Thank you very much, and stay tuned.